Hey guys, welcome back to the program. Now today I'll be talking about the Beatles live at the Hollywood Bowl. Now this is the brand new 2016 release. We'll also be talking about the 1977 LP as well as the film by Ron Howard titled 8 Days a Week. And here to talk about is my good friend Stan Levine. Now thank you for being on the program. Now I asked Stan to be on the show here because he was at the concerts back in 1964 and 1965. He was there at the Hollywood Bowl, and you actually have the tickets.
Yes.
Can you bring those out real quick? Show the audience here. Set them up right there. That is so cool. Look at that. Now, this was the August 29th, 1965 concert. Tell us about that. What was that like? You were working it, or you were a concert goer? Like how?
No, I was a usher.
You were an usher. Okay.
I think there are like 18,000 people there. I might be exaggerating, but I would say it was like 80% females, and between 10, 14, 15, and the decibel level, long before the Beatles ever came on stage, was beyond belief.
Wow.
And then the moment they walked out there, it got deafening. Some classical music in those days, one of the things was for it to be so loud that it sort of deafened you, and then you were in another state of listening to the music. And that's what this sort of reminded me of. You know, avant-garde music at the time. Sure. And the music sort of went away, and even for me, I got lost in the screaming because you couldn't hear.
Well, so how close were you to the stage?
I would say maybe 200 feet, something like that.
Now, could you hear the Beatles?
Barely. Just barely you could sort of hear. I mean, mainly all I remember hearing musically was the drums and the bass.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
So like, actually now hearing this was almost like the first time. Like you didn't actually get to hear the Beatles. You saw them.
I saw them.
Now, did they have anybody open for them?
No.
So the show was probably really short.
Really short.
Because they didn't even play an hour. They were what, like 35 minutes maybe?
Something like that.
Okay.
Maybe 40 minutes. At the Hollywood, it's not now, but where the closest seats are at the bowl, there was water in front of the bowl. And the girls, in order to get to the Beatles, went through that pond and went up on stage, and that's what ended the concert.
Do you recall which one that was? Was that like the 64 show?
No, all of them.
Really? Wow.
They ended up in...
Where was security?
They were there. I don't know if I remember as many. I think 64 was when more people got through and up to the stage. And they kept announcing, people needed to stay in their seats. If things got out of hand, they were going to stop the concert. I really hadn't seen any other concerts in those days. I mean, the reason why I saw the Beatles is because, to be honest, I was there for the classical nights, which were Tuesday and Thursday.
Get out of here. What? So by working the Hollywood Bowl, you got access to other concerts?
I mean, we were supposed to work everything. Once you got past intermission, like for the classical concerts, which were longer than the Beatles concert, you were allowed to go home or watch or whatever. I know a lot of the people... a lot of the ushers there were there to see things like the Beatles, in the pop.
Oh, okay. So they took the job because they wanted to see acts like this versus the classical, which is what you were into, and you studied music. Right.
In fact, at the Bowl, one of the most incredible things is the Bolshoi Ballet came and did the Rite of Spring, and that's my big memory.
Not the Beatles, but the ballet.
I don't know what it was. I mean, my instrument was oboe. That's not your typical rock instrument.
No.
I never thought of myself as being snooty. I don't know what the word would be, but I really didn't appreciate the Beatles
at the time.
At the time, and I wanted to go because I knew it would be like an event.
And then so after the concert ended, did the audience just kind of stick around?
Oh yeah,
long time.
Long time. They couldn't get them out. There were girls fainting. I thought they were faking, but there were girls who were screaming so loud they passed out. They were crying. They were laying on the ground.
I mean, Lennon even says, there's a quote on one of these records on the inside saying, like, they didn't come to listen, they came to love.
That sure is right, because it was like someone they really loved had died or right in front of their eyes. That was the only time the sound was different. It was like a loud moan or something, like, when they were leaving the stage.
And what did you think of that at the time?
I mean, for me, and on those days they had things called happenings, and to me it was like a happening, because it was totally surreal. And then to be in a crush of people who really seemed to have no concern for their body or their own safety, or I mean, it was nothing like I ever experienced before or since.
And so when 65 came around, what was your feeling knowing you're going to go into this again? Did you prepare differently? Did you wear earplugs?
I had earplugs,
Yeah.
and I went in there. The way the bowl's set up is that in each of the, not the boxes, but behind there's bench seating.
Yeah.
And there's a walkway in front with sort of a brick wall holding up that next level of seats. And I found that if I got right up against the wall, people were going forward and I had that wall in front of me. So I was safer.
Wow. It's really interesting because for a long time, Beatles didn't have a live album. I think part of the problem was they kept playing these big arenas, stadiums. You know, it's not set up for a live recording versus recording it in a smaller place. I think is more ideal. So they had that issue, and since Capitol Records is literally just down the street from Hollywood Bowl, it was easy to do that. You know, they heard the 64 concert and the Capitol just said, no, the quality isn't good enough because, like you're saying, of the deafening crowd noise. Just you literally couldn't hear a plane going overhead. And so they tried again in 65. 65, this show, the 29th, there was some problems with, I think, John's mic or something. And then so the 30th is really where you get a lot of the recordings off these two albums. They're essentially the same album. So for a while, it just sat in the archives until I think mid-70s, they were looking for something and then they saw them again and like, hey, we should probably put these out, because for a long time, there was a bootleg of some clubs in Germany, but that really wasn't a quality release. It was pretty bad recording. But eventually this was cleaned up by George Martin, and they did really well, I thought, but it was never released on CD. It languished, and that's interesting because you didn't actually know that existed.
No.
So this is George's son. He actually took this on, and he thought, maybe we can, with digital technology, clean it up more, really find the Beatles' voices amongst all the screaming and crowd noise. And so what they essentially did is they repackaged this album, added 4 tracks onto it, and sort of tied it into the film. However, I will say that the film never talks about the Hollywood Bowl concerts. It talks about them in touring in general, so I get the relationship, but I just thought it was weird to do all this but not even mention the Hollywood Bowl. But I guess it wasn't that different than the rest of the concerts.
Well, and I was really anxious when the movie came out because I was really looking for the Hollywood Bowl. And I personally was disappointed.
They probably didn't have much film other than stills, which they showcase inside. Is this the pond you're talking about?
Yeah.
So the women were literally, the girls were climbing up over this?
Yeah. Huh. And you can see, too, that that's an adult person, and that's how tall it was. I mean, they had to shimmy their way up to get over it.
Wow.
I mean, it wasn't easy.
Why don't you grab that record real quick? This is the original 1977 pressing, and it's kind of cool. You get some different things in here. You kind of see more of that wall Stan was talking about. What's interesting is we were noticing how the tickets are a little different, and even the price. This is $6. This says $5. So.
And those are better seats.
Yeah, these are better seats
for $1 less.
So it's interesting where they got these tickets from.
I would really like to know, because the only thing I can tell you in all of this time, I know for a fact these were from the Hollywood Bowl.
I believe you.
That's the only thing I can say with authority.
Oh wait, there is this. I forgot. There is the inner sleeve. Are these the boxes?
Yeah, those are the boxes.
And
that one box almost looks like it's broken because they're made out of they're wood. These are like little slats.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, they're not going to withstand a lot of abuse.
So yeah, I mean, I think if you find this album, it sounds great. There's nothing wrong with it, but I think if you're in the market to pick up a copy, I would definitely pick up the new version, just for the very fact that it's got the 4 extra tracks. They did a little better job cleaning it up.
Twist and shout, twist and shout. Come on, come on, come on, come on, baby now. Come on, baby, come on and work it on now. Work it on now.
I don't really love live albums in general, just because it's not the same thing as being there. But I think in this instance, since you were there, this is a better concert. You can actually hear them. What did you think of the Ron Howard film?
I liked it because I was learning more about the Beatles. It was more of an experience than a film.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense. I mean, usually documentaries move towards something. It doesn't seem like it has a point.
One thing I thought was interesting that I didn't realize is that the Beatles were playing these venues that had never been really used for music before. And so the infrastructure for sound reproduction was crap. It was terrible. Like they were, I don't even know what to call them, sound horns. They're not even really a speaker. They're just like...
Yeah, the PA
they look
for
like
announcing.
Yeah. That's what they were using to play their music through in this giant stadium that was echoing all over the place. Like they would play something and 2 seconds later they'd hear that same thing coming back at them.
I was really surprised when I listened to the recording that the songs were performed as well as they were. One of the things that you do see in the film is how the Beatles were really like under house arrest.
Right.
Because they were...
Yeah.
They were either performing or they were in a hotel room.
Well, it was interesting, it really put into context how busy they were. Yeah, they were on this insane schedule, and this film really gives you that sense of just that constant go from 63 on up to 66. Like, it was nuts.
I can understand from the film how maybe later on they may have had some interpersonal problems and stuff because they were just crammed together 24 hours a day. I mean, they were either playing or they were in a room.
Yeah. What's like your biggest takeaway from being there and where you are now?
To actually see them live. I mean, when I was watching them, it was really them. And now thinking about it, it's really special to me to what they have become.
Yeah.
And to have been there at a time when something special was really happening.
Yeah.
So I never thought about it, but I guess I do feel close to them, especially after those concerts. It sure made me want to look at them more. Even something that you don't understand, if there are people who are that emotionally involved as the people who are there, there's got to be something there. I mean, it can't be nothing. I do think some of those girls probably found them sexy.
Yeah.
But they wouldn't have gotten there without the music.
It's so rare to find that combination in a band that has like this crazy fandom, but then also has really good music that has lasted so long.
Every one of those pieces needed to be there for it to happen.
Yep. Well, thank you so much, Stan. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Getting to talk to you really makes this a living history, and that's what's so important. So thank you very much for coming down and talking about the Beatles.
Oh, thank you.
Well, thank you guys for tuning in. Be sure to leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think. And as always, I'm your Vinyl Geek, and I'll catch you on the flip side. Hey guys, thanks again for checking out this episode. Now, if you want to see more Beatles material, I got a playlist right there. You can also catch up with me on social media by clicking right there.